Hi there, so it's Kathy with Be Creative with Kathy, and today I want to show you how to use Stampin' Up's gold leafing. So I know they say that gold leafing was an item back in the day. I didn't use it when it was available before, but now look, it's come back. Stampin' Up has it in their new mini catalog. So I'm going to just show you a couple ways that I used it, and that's about it. So you know that there's the gold leafing and this stamp set are from the mini catalog and the Sale-a-bration. So if you have questions about the mini catalog or the Sale-a-bration, you can go to my online store, kathyhouse.stampinup.net. And if you want dimensions for the cards, you can go to my blog, becreativewithkathy.com. But let me go ahead. I'm going to start with this card. I think it's a little bit more simple anyway than the other one. So I'll show you. Where's my card pieces? Here they are. I've done some work in advance, so I have a piece of just basic black cardstock. It's a card base, 8.5 by 5.5, and then I've folded it at half at 4 1/4. I scored it too, but that's all hearsay. But then I have a piece of Pull Party. This is 5 1/4 by 4. It's just your basic layer that goes, you know, on the front of your card. You can't see because of the black. There we go, like that. Okay. So on here then I have a piece of Whisper White, and now I've run it through an embossing folder, and I had even forgot that I got this embossing folder. It's in the annual catalog, and it's called the Metal Moments embossing folder. It's the mini embossing folders, I guess you'd call them, and it's a set of 2. It has the little leaves and the little butterflies and such, and I thought that would be perfect because we're going to use a touch of ink. Now this is a Sale-a-bration stamp set. When you purchase $100, you can get this set for free, but it's a really pretty 2-step stamping. But I thought the butterflies in the embossing folder would go nicely with the butterfly that we're going to use on the front. So like I said, I've embossed that. This is 3 3/4 by 2 3/4. It's going to go there. And then I have a piece of the Designer Series paper. This is also in the Sale-a-bration catalog. For a $50 order, you could get this for free. But I want to go ahead first thing and just attach this to my cardstock. So I'm going to just get some seal here. And these 2 pieces together are going to equal the layer. I don't know if that makes sense, but so I'm going to just kind of make sure I have them lined up about where I want them, and you don't have to go this way. I'm going to set this one about where I want it and then set this one down. And if I'm not perfect, you know, whoever gets my card's not going to be like, oh, Kathy must have had a crooked day. They're just going to be happy that I sent them a card. So we'll lay it about there. That looks good. Then I'm going to do the same thing to this one, and I'm going to butt it up next to this one and hope that I got that one straight and this one. And it does look pretty good. We'll just line it up just like that. So now that's my next layer on my cardstock. Okay, so here's where the fun begins. So I'm going to take just a regular tear and tape. Now I want to get rid of this, and I'm going to bring in, let me get it out here, my silicone mat. And real quick, I'm going to make sure it's clean by just taking my lint roller here. Hold on, I'm going to clean it. Sorry about that noise. I bet that's loud, but we'll clean that off real quick. Man, and I found this one at Walmart, and it's called Super Sticky, and it's huge. And let me tell you, this puppy is, it works really well. Look how clean my silicone mat is. But I'm going to lay this down atop of here. And then, like I said, with just a piece of sticky strip, I'm going to try to get this straight right across that seam like that. Just lay it down on this end. Take my paper snips here and just trim this right along the edge of my card. There we go. Same thing on this side. And then I'm going to take my bone folder and just varnish or make sure that's really nice and adhered to my cardstock like that. There we go. Okay, take that release paper off. I think that's what that stuff's called. That's what I always call it, and I wonder every time if that's really called release paper. I probably heard another demonstrator call it that, and so now that's what it is. There we go. So now I have just my tear and tape like showing right there. Put that away. Bring that piece of paper back in, my scratch paper, and then we're gonna bring in the gold leafing, and I'm gonna just pick out some pieces here and lay it. This piece here, Ikes. I'm gonna stick my finger. That's my gold leafing's not cooperating. There we go. And just lay it down on top of that sticky strip. Nope, tear and tape. Sticky strip. That must have been a flashback. We haven't had sticky strip in a long time. It's called tear and tape now. But just take that gold leafing. Look how pretty that is. And lay that all the way across, all the way to the end here. There we go. And then just kind of rub it down, buff it a little bit. Then I'm gonna tap it a little bit here and try to get those big pieces off. Set those to the side. I'm gonna try to get those back into my dish or into my container. But then I just have a Stampin' Spudge here. Now I've seen people use the rough brushes. I don't know what they're called. I want to call it a Brillo brush, but I don't think that's right. But just use that sponge to get all that gold leafing off where it doesn't belong. And look how pretty now that is, just that little strip of gold on my card. So let's see how much of this we can get back in here. Oh, I did pretty good. Okay, and then I think, and well, I shouldn't say I think, a friend of, not even a friend, a fellow demonstrator, I don't even think she's a demonstrator. How about we just say Jennifer McGuire told me that if you use these Swiffer cleaning or sweeping cloths, whatever, to clean up, look how it takes the static away and cleans everything up really nicely. I think even when you're working with embossing powder that these things will come in handy because it just cleans everything up all nicely. Let's take this and just attach it to the front of our card. Now that, there we go. Now that we have, oh, and guess what? I just ran out of adhesive. Hold on, let me throw a refill in here real quick. I have to catch, because when I catch myself and my product isn't working, I try to muscle it when I need to just realize it needs to be either refilled, re-inked, or something. But anyway, ramble on. There we go. Now, wait, I got a sticky part right here. Let me get rid of this glob of glue. Okay, now we're good to go. Okay. There we go. We are back in business. Now we have adhesive again. We're going to put this upside down right here on the front of our black card base. And let me bring in that paper so you can see. There we go. It looks like that. And then I also cut just a stitched circle from our stitched shapes dies, and I cut a scallop circle from our layering circle dies, and I'm going to just quickly stamp that two-step butterfly. Now this, you could be fancy, you could, you know, color him and take all that time, but this is what I would call a quick card, and I'm going to just stake a little bit of black Memento ink and stamp him onto that circle like that. And then, ooh, no, and then we'll do some Pool Party. And the reason I'm using Pool Party because that's the color that's in my designer series paper. And this does not match, or I should say line up. It's just a total background color. Love that. Fast stamping's always my thing. And put that away. We don't need that anymore. Just put these two layers together. And then put some dimensionals on the back. And then just lay that right there on the front of our card. Is that not pretty? Then also in the stamp set, it has a lot of nice sentiments in there, but I like this thinking of you. So here's the inside layer, which is 5 1/4 by 4. And I have the little thinking of you ready to go. And I'm gonna just stamp that right there for my card, for the inside of my card. And then we'll just put a little bit of adhesive on there. And then lay this right here on the inside of our card. Looks like that. Oh, and then I smeared it. I'll have to take that out and redo the inside. But look how pretty and how simple that is using that gold leafing. Okay, so let me show you another way to use the gold leafing. And you have to bear with me. I just lost my computer, which I usually watch my hands in my computer, and my computer shut down, so I'll try to stay in the screen. But nowadays, a fad or something that's really trendy is to do the gold and the words like half purple and half gold. So I'm going to show you how I did this with the gold leafing. And I have most of the pieces done, so it won't take too long. But I've already have a white card base, 5 1/2 by 8 1/2, scored at 4 1/4 or folded at 4 1/4. And I've already stamped the inside. We're going to use the stamp set Happiest of Birthdays. We're going to use this great big stamp set here, and then this is the stamp that I used on the inside. And then I have my ribbon tied around. Now I put my base on here, and this is just Gorgeous Grape, and I've run it through the subtle embossing folder, but I put it on with 4 glue dots. That way if I need to move my ribbon, I still can, but I think I have it in place where I want it. I've already taken a piece of gold foil and I've cut that out using the, what are these dies called? Switch or Stitch So Sweetly. Love these dies. I used, I believe, the largest rectangle here. I have that ready. And then I have a piece of Whisper White cardstock, although it's probably basic white to be honest with you, because we don't have Whisper White anymore. But it is 2 1/2 by 5 3/8. Now, if you missed all those measurements, remember you can go to my blog, becreativewithkathy.com, and you can find those measurements there. But I am going to bring in my Stamparatus here. And now, because we're using red rubber, I have my base, and then I have my Stamparatus grid paper. And then, as you know, if you watch my videos, you know I like the Sizzix grid, the sticky grid paper here that holds my paper in place. And I'm going to just lay my cardstock. I have a little sheet here where I always put my cardstock. I just put a black marker to mark it like that, so I know where I put my paper, not that it matters. And then I'm going to bring my stamp in, which barely fits on my paper, and that is part of the reason why I want to use the Stamparatus, so I can make sure I get it where I want it. So I'll lay that down. We'll close the plate and then open it up like that. Okay, my paper's ready, my stamp is ready. With Versamark ink, I'm going to ink up. And boy, look at my Versamark. Is that loved and used? He's stained and happy, but he still works really nice. So we're going to use my Versamark. And can you tell, I'm going to ink it up really well. I want lots of Versamark on my stamp. There we go. Okay. And then I'm going to bring in some Gorgeous Grape ink. Now, if you use your Versamark first, and then your classic ink pad, it's not going to hurt it at all. I'm going to hurt your classic ink pad because the Versamark sticks to the stamp. I think that looks pretty good. Okay, let's keep our fingers crossed. This technique might be more for like an Advid stamper. It's not the easiest techniques. Hopefully, like I said, all will go well. But we'll see what happens. I've practiced a couple times, but sometimes it works and sometimes it don't. We have to redo it. But I have that, and you can tell I've tried to get and got my stamp inked up pretty good, and then it looks like that. Now you probably can't see, but the bottom down here has Versamark, and the top has the Versamark plus the Gorgeous Grape. So I'm going to put away my Stamparatus, bring that scratch paper back in. And now, just for my own like help thing, I'm going to use white when I use embossing powder, and I'm going to use blue. Not that it matters, but here we go. So this here is the heat and stick powder. Now Stampin' Up! Used to have this, and they didn't sell it for a while, and now it's back. But let me tell you, you'll know that it's heat and stick powder because when you open the lid, it smells just like glue. It doesn't smell like embossing powder, which to me has no fragrance, but the heat and stick totally smells like glue. So we're gonna give that a good coat, and then I'm gonna scoop it up and make sure it gets another really nice coat like that. Okay, and try to tap off some of that excess powder, but I can see, I don't know if you can see or not, but it has a good coat on there. And then real quick, I'm gonna heat my heat gun up. I'm gonna just get it kind of warm. And I'm going to dump this back in my little container. Put the lid on there so I don't spill it. Bring in my Swiffer. I'm going to try to get all that static and everything off of there. Okay. Now my heat gun's hot, and very quickly, it doesn't take long, I'm going to melt that powder on the paper. You don't want to overheat it because then your stickum powder won't have any stickums on there anymore. So just a quick heat like that, right? So then I'm going to bring in, now this is just Reynolds cut wax paper. I'm going to just tear a little bit off of there. And now you can see that the edge here is really straight. So I'm going to use that edge. And I'm going to lay this over. Seeing how I've stamped a little crooked, I'm going to lay it so it's straight and cover that purple. Now the purple part is still sticky, and it'll hold my wax paper on there. Remember, I want to turn this over because we're going to use the leafing, and I'm going to use the leafing on the blue side just so I don't get leaf inside my embossing powder and la-di-da-di ho-di-do. Okay, so then we're going to bring in that gold leafing again and just start laying it there. That, ooh, look at that's a nice big piece. We'll start there and just lay that on there. Hopefully I didn't overheat my heat and stick powder. Oh yeah, look at it sticking to my heat and stick powder. Maybe right here needs a little bit more. And just rub that into there. Now I have a huge mess. I'm going to put some of this back. Boy, I don't know about you, but here in Denver, Colorado, it is so dry and staticky. It's just awful. And that heat and stick, or that gold leafing gets really staticky. Let's try to move this to the side. Use that sponge again and just clean up our gold leafing a little bit. There we go. Tap some of that off there. See if I can't get this back in the jar. Oh, I think I got most of it back in there. One more swipe to clean up my area here. I'm even going to get my paper, and this side too, get that embossing off of there. Okay, so we're going to go ahead now and take that wax paper from the sticky part, and we have that line just like I wanted. And then, because this is still sticky, I'm going to take some clear embossing powder and just cover that with the clear embossing powder. Let me knock off the back, there we go. And then just heat that up. Now my gun should, yep, it's still really warm. Real quick like, just melt that embossing powder on there, because then you don't want your card to be sticky. So now look how pretty that is with the two-tone like that, and that is very the fad of nowadays. So I'm bringing my card base again. Here that's all done. Let's adhere this to the gold piece that's die cut out. like that. Sorry about the shadow there. Now I'm going to put this up on dimensionals. And then just lay this right here on the front of our card. Is it straight? Looks pretty good, just like that. There you go. So there, oh, and then last but not least, these really pretty, what color are these? These are the gold glitter enamel dots. Just sprinkle those on for a little bit of extra bling. You can never have enough bling, but I'm gonna just take and scatter these. Maybe I am. That one's stubborn. Oh, here we go, like this. Put him on there, and then I am gonna take, well, okay, something that usually works really well. Not gonna work at all today. One more, and then one right there. There, I think that looks pretty good. So there's my cards today. I lost my other two. Huh. There they are. Looks like this. I hope you'll give that gold leafing a try. I think it has a reputation that it's hard to use, but if you look, it's really not, and it's really fun and leaves that pretty gold on there. I might have to work a little bit more getting that gold cleaned up on this card, but anyway, so there you go. If you ever have any questions, you can also leave me a message. Or like I said, you can go, I'll get the dimensions and measurements at my blog, Be Creative with Kathy. If you don't have a demonstrator, I would love to be your demonstrator. If you want to get emails from me about my next class and video and things coming up and happening with Stampin' Up, be sure and subscribe to my blog and get on my email list. Thanks for watching. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.